Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, for a slow political season, because the legislature's pretty much out of session and election time isn't for another year, and that's the midterms. For nothing really going on, we've had quite a few things to unpack when it comes to the kook and clown show that is the Oklahoma GOP. Everything from Stitt throwing a fit and removing 2 medical doctors off the board of the medical board, and they're the only qualified people, but it's because they were against his privatization scheme and sending all our resources out of state. They were against that, so they were, yes man, they got to get rid of them. And then there's, Mr. Bennett of the GOP chair over there, who's so upset that we're allowing Afghans to resettle here because, of course, they're Muslims. He has an issue with that. And then there was the thing with, the big story. I really wanted to do a story on, and if I have time, maybe next week if something else doesn't happen, maybe I'll do it. And it's Mr. Mark Wayne Mullen pretending like he's Mr. Michael Weston with the CIA doing some kind of extraction scheme out of Afghanistan that failed spectacularly. Wow, I want to do a show on that. But something really caught my eye that happened, and it was with a other show that goes on at local channel here on Sundays, and one of the hosts on it, the conservative host of course, said something so misogynistic that I just have to do a show about it. Mr. Todd Lamb, what you said about Kamala Harris in some made up fantasyland scenario, it's just another lesson in conservative cowardice. And that's what we're going to talk about this week on Across the Desk. So there's this local news station, Channel 4, and they have a show they put out on Sundays, Flashpoint, and they have a conservative host named Todd Lamb. Well, he said something in minute marker 8:17 of the show they did on the last show of August for the show they do. And anyway, he said something very misogynistic about Kamala Harris, our vice president. Well, this really caught me, and I had to do a show on it for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't see anybody talking about this. It just kind of went under the waves, went under the radar. I guess the 50,000 viewers they have didn't pick up on it, or really maybe, nobody really watches that thing, I guess. Because here's something that was said that nobody really picked up on. He went after Kamala Harris. And here's the context to this. See, they were talking about a speech Joe Biden gave. And it was a solemn speech. Because it had to do with the deaths of Americans and Afghan civilians at the terrorist attack that happened near the airport. Well, Mr. Lamb, in his rebuttal, he whipped up that conservative crystal ball of cowardice and gave us a scenario. Let me see what Kamala Harris would have done. She would have, there it is, giggled. Yeah, he pulled out his crystal ball. Made up some made-up fantasyland scenario that never happened and never will, and said she would have giggled. Yeah, that's what he did. So, here we have Todd Lamb, very misogynistic, coming out saying that Kamala Harris would have giggled. Because this goes into a deeper point of conservative cowardice. It's not just misogyny. We all know conservatives like to control things, especially women. And you see this when just last week on Saturday, a reporter was doing a report on the Georgia football game win. Well, what happened? Well, some Georgia fans groped her, got into her space. It was very disrespectful. And the comment that a conservative made was, well, it's a dangerous world out there. It's a scary place. And if she can't handle this, well, then maybe she just should stay in the kitchen. That's what was said. And this goes deeper, way deeper, like I say. And from misogyny to really what this talks about is conservative values. This goes in to what that is. And I did a show last season just on this topic. And you know what? Kamala Harris was the point of the show. Because I don't know if you remember this. Some people don't. But Senator Nathan Dahm came out saying how well Kamala Harris could probably suck a malt through a straw. Insinuating that she was, good at oral pleasing, men in power, and that's how she got ahead in life. That's really what that's all about. Kamala Harris got ahead in life because, she did sexual favors for powerful men. And that's exactly what he meant by it. And he doubled down on it. Everything. Said, take the joke. Well, sure, we'll take the joke. We take the joke that these are conservative values. You doubled down on them when they were called out. And no one's done anything. And this goes into a really wider point that I want to hit on this show this week. Nathan Dahm coming out saying what he did about Kamala Harris. Todd Lamb saying that she would have giggled like he did in the most misogynistic of ways and cowardly of ways. When he did that, it just goes in to prove these are the values conservatives hold true. That it's perfectly okay to tell lewd jokes about women and how they got ahead in life. That's perfectly okay when it comes to conservative values. It's perfectly okay to say, Kamala Harris would have giggled as I look at my crystal ball and make up some kind of fantasy land scenario that never happened and never will. This is exactly what they're doing. And you see it. You see it with the Georgia thing. You see it with Nathan Dahm. You see it right here with Todd Lamb. These are the conservative values that they believe in, of misogyny, of degrading women, of going after women if they decide to join the workplace or do anything other than stay in the kitchen, be good children bearers and all that stuff. That's what conservatives want. So they want to make it just as scary, just as horrible, and just as threatening and dangerous for women to do anything other than cook dinner. That's really what they think. These are conservative values. They lay them out so well for us that we can't ignore them. And I just want to know, this is what people really believe. Because I believe a majority of people in Oklahoma, especially when it comes to Democrats and independents, Republicans, they're so cultish, they're going to do whatever they tell them. But Democrats and independents, which outnumber Republicans, by the way, what do they think about this? I'll guarantee you they're not going to look kindly on this. They don't think it's a good look. I'll guarantee you that. Only people like Todd Lamb think it's a good look to be such cowardly displays like this. To put those on. It's exactly what he's doing when he says stuff like this. And then comes back and wants to double down, because this is what happened on this show. Came out, said this. And then the Democrat commentator, I can't really call him a liberal because he's really not a liberal, he's really not a progressive, he's really not even in any kind of Democratic circles anymore, or even know the power players in the Democratic Party in Oklahoma anymore. He's so far out of touch with them. He doesn't really represent them. And I really don't think he's all that liberal, and that's Mr. Mike Turpin. And to his credit, though, he did stand up and say, whoa, 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 Todd Lamb, you're not really seriously saying this. And Todd Lamb said, yeah, I am. I believe this is exactly what she would do. She would do it. Believe me, she'd do it. Even though I have no proof of it. I'm making this scenario totally up in my head. And here we go, I'm going to go with it. And you got to believe me because, well, I'm the conservative and these are my values. And then to see another gross display of the other conservative on the panel, Kevin Ogle, say, well, after they came back from the break, they talked about it, of course, and he said, I think it was hyperbole. He was using hyperbole. No, he wasn't using hyperbole. He was using fantasy land scenarios that don't even exist. Hyperbole. Well, if that's the hyperbole, I guess. He's just making it all up. It's quite a hyperbole. But Kevin Ogle's got to kind of make it nice. We don't want to go too far off on. Come on, don't go too far off on Todd Lamb on your rebuttal, and he didn't. Because after they came back from the break, he went off a little bit, and then they got him totally on a different subject. Didn't last long, and Todd Lamb doubled down on it. You didn't see anything. You still won't see anything on News 4, nothing, no retraction, no nothing saying, hey, Todd Lamb said this is how he feels about it. You don't see it. Kind of like with Senator Nathan Dahm. Same thing, okay? Senator Nathan Dahm came out, did an interview, said that Kamala Harris would be really good at, orally pleasing men because that's how she got ahead in life. And there you go. Conservative values on display. This is exactly what we're seeing. So you have Mr. Nathan Dahm, Mr. Todd Lamb out there espousing these same values. That it's okay to do these things. That here we have a sitting vice president, and you would do this to a sitting vice president. I mean, it's just outlandish, really. It really needs to be discussed. And here we go. I think we should discuss it. Of course, Republicans are going to jump on a bandwagon. That's why we need to discuss it. Because I guarantee you, as cultish as conservatives are, they'll jump in to protect Lamb. They'll get on the wrong side of this. Believe me, they will. Because, see, here we are. We're several months past the Nathan Dahm episode, and the only thing that the Oklahoma State Legislature has done on this is Greg Treat put out a tweet saying how, I think this is wrong. I don't think this is how we should conduct our business. That's it. A tweet. We got a tweet. We don't even get an admonition. Not even any kind of red slip saying, hey, here's a warning. Not even a speech on the floor of Congress of Oklahoma saying, hey, you know what? We really disagree with this. No censure. None. Nothing. And you know what? I'll almost put $20 down. No, I'll put $20 down. Anybody want to take me? They won't say anything about it. Nothing will happen. And there's several reasons why. One, it makes Republicans look bad. And Republicans don't like to look bad. As you can tell, they don't like to look bad. That's why you have McCarthy over there in the U.S. House saying how he'll go after private companies and shut them down if they, comply with lawful subpoenas. Which totally goes against principles of conservatives that you would think they were so pro-business. And so let the free market reign, but not so much if it's going to go against Republican principles or make them look bad in any way. Because that's how Republicans roll, you see. They won't do it. And there's another reason is Nathan Dahm's term limited. And he's already not on really any committees or anything else. So there's not much they can do to him. But really, coming out with a censure would be the best thing to do. It would tell us that the Republican Party doesn't really believe in all this misogynistic stuff. That Kamala Harris didn't get ahead this way in life, and that not even if she did that's okay. That it's okay to go after women that way. Because, that's a whole other thing. That's all made up baloney. Kamala Harris, who was a district attorney, who was attorney general, and a sitting senator. She worked her way up the proper way, went through and worked hard in her endeavors, and has a record for that. The Republicans don't want you to see that. They'd rather think that she got ahead in life by doing sexual favors to powerful men. And that goes more into line with what Todd Lamb was saying. She'd have giggled. She'd have giggled. So that's exactly where he came from. Of course, you know what? He didn't walk it back, but later in the show, he did go on to say that, I'm not being misogynistic because I think if it was Hillary Clinton would be tough. Really, that's the kind of walk back that we got from Senator Todd Lamb. The Iron Lady. Because that's how women are to them, right? If you're not in the kitchen or whatever else, then you deserve to be punished, pummeled, abused. And if you can take that abuse, well, then you're just an iron lady. And this is exactly what conservatives think. And really, the conservative values of misogynistic ways, it's really disgusting. And the people really see that. And it's something that I really think that we should focus on, especially this week, especially with this show. I wanted to point this out, what he said. I really would like to see people email this guy. Get on his Facebook page. Tell him what you think about that show. Go look it up. Go see it. I put the link at the end of this show in the credit where you can go fill out your address box up there in the web deal and go to the page. Go to News 4. Go to their news deal. Go to Flashpoint. Watch the show. Watch it. Go to 817 and see what he says. And really, let him know what you think. I think you should. I think you should let him know what you think. I think we should do it because what he's going to do, because we know what he's going to do, he's going to double down on it again. And then all his buddies are going to get behind him on it, and they're going to be on the wrong side of this. And that's really what we want, on the wrong side of this. So there you go. Todd Lamb, Conservative Coward of the Week, pulling out his crystal ball, giving us some fantasy land scenario that never happened and never will about Kamala Harris giggling during a solemn speech. That's what we have this week on Across the Desk. We'll see you next week.